So the other day I was working on my car and basically I needed to change one of my tires because I had changed my spare, which isn't a full tire. It's not just like a donut or something like that. So I changed my full spare, right, for my tire so that I could get work done. It had like a sensor that was broken or something like that. So I needed to get the tire fixed. Right, so I took that tire off to get it fixed, and then I never put the tire back on after it got fixed, and I just started using that tire that was my normal tire as my spare because I didn't have time at the time to change it, and then I just never felt like changing it. And so I finally had decided I'm going to change the tire back because it's probably not good to wear out my spare and then have my used tire as a spare. It's probably better to put the used tire back on and stop using the spare. I'm probably going to have to replace the spare because I drove on it for a while. I don't know. I have to look at what the tread looks like, but I'm probably going to have to get new tires. I'm going to get new tires soon anyway, so I might just get the fifth and put it in as my new spare. That's irrelevant to you, so don't worry about don't worry about that. But basically, I needed to change my tire, right? And I thought, change my tire, easy. I've done it. I can do it, right? So, moral of the story is, I did something dumb. I knew it was a potential outcome. I knew what happened was a potential outcome of what I was doing. I knew that there was a good chance that this wasn't going to work how I thought it was going to work, and I was gonna have a problem. Like, I knew that before I even did anything. I considered this possibility. I considered it in my head, and I said, I should probably move my car. I should probably change where I'm positioned, right? So, I knew that could, like, what could happen and did happen was likely. However, I was like, it'll probably be fine. And I did it anyway, right? And what I want you to take away from this story is when something tells you, like, don't do that, or you probably shouldn't do that, right? Or this is probably what's going to happen if you do that, and it's not a good thing, right? It may be a good idea to listen, right? Like, there's a reason why that voice is talking to you. And maybe if, it's probably going to be fine is true, right? And actually, it didn't end up going bad. If there's something in your voice, if there's something in your head telling you, like, this is likely, then maybe you shouldn't do that, right? Maybe you should change it just in case, right? And so, basically, I need the street that my house is on has a slight downslope to it. It's very slight. It's not even like this extreme. It's like maybe this much, right? There's a downhill. And so I was parked on the side of the street so that my car was facing downhill. And I needed to lift up the front right tire. That's the tire I needed to change, right? So I'm like, okay, get out my jack, get out the spare tire, right? I loosened the lug nuts on the tire, and I'm parked up against the curb too, because that's significant, because it it's so stupid. And so I'm parked up near the curb. I'm on maybe like a half a foot off the curb, right? So I'm pretty close to it. And so I put the jack underneath, I put it in the right spot, I start jacking up the car, right? And then the tire's lifted, right? I'm trying to get the tire off, right? I'm loosening them all. I'm like, all the lug nuts came off, but the tire is like not coming off. I was like, crap, I didn't jack it up enough. It's still on the ground. So I jack it up a little more, it goes poof. It pops off. That's not the dumb thing. The dumb thing is that I was like, like, I should chalk the tires, and I never did that. So the tires, like the car is not being, like, it's in park, but like the tire, like nothing is like holding the tires back really from rolling, right? And so after I jack it up enough that I can take the tire off, now it's just the tire, I took the tire off and now it's just the open like wheel well or whatever that's called, right? With like where you mount the tire onto. I'm trying not to use car terms, one, because I don't really know them, and two, I don't think anyone else really does either. So, but like, so now there's just no tire there, right? And so I'm like, okay, well now it's time to change tires. And then all of a sudden, in almost slow motion, the jack falls over, because it's not like, I didn't use like a big jack. I just used the jack that's like in the car. So it's like this tiny thing that's like narrow. So it just went boop, right? And so as it does that, poof, the car falls over. Now that part is literally on the ground. So I can't put a tire on now because it's not lifted up enough to put a tire on. But I also can't now, because that part of the car is like down and like almost like the car on the other side is like kind of like lifted up maybe a little bit. Like now that fell down, right? I can't even get the jack underneath to lift it up anymore. So now I'm like, crap. How do I lift it back up so that I can put the tire back on? And it starts to rain a little bit as this plays out. And I'm just like sitting there and like I couldn't even really be mad, right? I couldn't even really get that angry because I had no one to blame but myself. And I knew that that would happen. So all I could say was like, that was dumb. That was so dumb. Why did I do that? That was so dumb, right? And I'm like, okay, well, what am I going to do? And that's really the main thing that I kept asking myself. Like, what do I even do? Like, I don't even know how to, like, I don't even know if there's anything I can do. Like, I was like, I knew that somehow this problem would be resolved. I knew that in some way, you know, there would be a resolution to this. Whether or not this resolution was, I'll just take my parents' car for a little bit, right? And then, we'll get someone to come and like lift the car up, put a new tire on, right? Whether or not it was going to be, I would fail and we would get someone to figure it out for us, or if it would be that I actually found a solution to this. I knew that there was going to be a solution at the end of the day. I knew that this was not the end of the world. However, I also was embarrassed because it was just like, there's no and if wars about it. Like it was dumb. It was just so dumb. Like I didn't have a good excuse. It was just stupid. I should not have done that. And so first thing I do is like, all right, well, before we start anything else, I gotta go get the chocks. And at this point, I can't move the car because now I don't have a tire on the car. So now at this point, I'm locked into this spot. Like there's nothing I can do. It's stuck there. So I gotta make do with the conditions I have, right? And so in the garage, we have another jack that's like bigger. And it's like one of those ones where you can pump it up and be like, boop, boop, boop. It doesn't actually make noise like that, but you like pump it up and it's a lot stronger. It's a lot larger. So I had that. I could have used that from the beginning, but I thought that I should use the jack in the car just to give me more experience with the jack in the car in case in any future scenario, I need to jack my car up. I know how to use the right jack. And so that was my logic for using that one instead. And so I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna go get the chocks. So I went and I got 2 pieces of wood and I put them underneath the tires. Actually, I got 3 pieces of wood. I put it underneath all the tires. However, the one was potentially not necessary. But I put it on the 2 back tires. I put my car's emergency brake on. I didn't have it on before. Again, another dumb thing. However, I don't know if it really mattered. But I put it on just in case. I was like, I'm not putting anything to chance anymore. We got to figure this out. Like I can't afford to have it drop a second time, right? So I put the chocks in and put on the emergency brake. I go to the garage to grab the the jack, right? I go to grab the jack, and my dad's in the garage, and I was like, oh, hey, how you doing? Because I didn't want to tell him, because I knew all he would say is what were you thinking? Like, I knew he was going to be, like, eventually he would help me, but it would be 5 to 10 minutes of him telling me how dumb I am or something along those lines. And like, I was like, I don't need that. I don't need another person panicking about the situation. So I was like, I'm pretty sure I can solve this. If I can't solve it, then I'll get him. But I think I can figure this out, right? And so potentially maybe that was also a dumb thing. However, it did work out so far, right? Maybe I messed something up. I don't know, right? We'll find out eventually. But so, I grabbed the jack. I told him, yeah, I got to change my tire, or whatever. So I told him the truth on that much, but I didn't tell him that I had already started and I had messed up. Which goes back to, it's very easy to start. It's very easy to tell a lie or tell the truth, but only a partial truth when you're using the truth, right? Because I wasn't lying. I am going to change the tire on my car. However, I didn't tell him the whole truth. And that is why I made a whole talk about the truth is a great place to start a lie. And I'm not the person to discover this. I promise you, everyone knows this, that lies often. Anyway, and so I grab the jack, I go out to my car, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll just jack it up using this jack because the other jack can't get close enough. Maybe I'll get this one in. Problem is, I was too close to the curb because the jack is like this long, and this is where the jack part is, and then over here is like where you put the handle in to jack it up. And so it's this long and this wide, and I could not get it to go under the car because I was so close to the curb, so I couldn't use this jack on the side I needed to use it on. So I was like, what do I even do? Like, what do I do, right? Like, I can't get the jack underneath. And so I'm trying to, like, oh, maybe I'll jack it up from, like, I use the other jack and I try to back up on the backside. I'm like, well, that doesn't help me because I need it on the front. Like, that's not happening with anything. Then I tried to jack it up on the far side, and that wasn't really helping with anything because all I was doing was lifting up the far side and actually pushing the other side down more potentially. So I was like, okay, well, that's not helping either. Like, how do I do this, right? And so, the numbers like 17 and 77 and any combination of like 1 and 7 for some reason has significance to me. I mean, it's my birthday. Like 17th is my birthday. Well, 117 is really my birthday. And then if you don't include the 2000, then it's 1s and 7s. It's my whole birthday. So that's why it's of some significance to me, I guess. And I see it all over the place, and I've looked up, what does it mean? And I've looked up like what does it mean if you keep seeing like your numbers, whatever. And basically what, like, the internet will tell you, oh, 1s and 7s mean this, right? It's these angel numbers and something like that. But it'll also tell you, like, if you're seeing patterns of 1s and 0, like of numbers, that's all you. Like, you're identifying that pattern, and because your mind starts to fixate on it, and maybe that's true. However, I find it to occur in places that I feel like it really shouldn't more often than not. And so what it means exactly, I don't know. I think it really depends on who you are, what it means to you. But so I've never noticed this, but so I'm looking underneath I'm like messing around, jacking it up in different places, trying to figure out what I can do. And the answer is that nothing's really working. And I'm like, okay, like, I don't even know what I can even do. Like, I don't know what to do. And so I go to look underneath the tire to see, like, maybe if underneath, like, I'm trying to find a part of the main, like, steel body of the car, because you want to use something that's like a structural framing part of the car to jack the car up, so that 1, you don't damage some random component on the car, and 2, it doesn't like deform the steel or something, right? Because you're putting most of the weight of the car on this location. So you want to make sure it can handle it. And so when you're jacking a car up, you need to put it on like the structural part of a car to make sure that it actually is like built to like withstand that. Because if you try and put it on something else, like you could just destroy your car more potentially. So something to be aware of. But so I'm looking for like a good piece, like a good location to put the jack at. And I was like, I'm looking in the wheel well and I see just 77 like in the wheel well for some reason. And I'm just like, yeah, I know, but like, this still sucks. Like, what the hell? Like, like I knew that like the way I read that was like, it's going to be all right. Or like, you're on the right path or something like that. And I'm like, yeah, I know. That doesn't mean that this is pleasant, right? That doesn't mean that I'm enjoying this right now. Like, this still sucks, right? And I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I need to do. I'm just doing stuff. Like, I don't know how I'm going to solve this, right? Like, I just am trying to solve it. And and so after I see that, I look underneath and I'm like, okay, well, it looks like this is like structural steel here underneath the wheel well, which is more up in the front of the car, which is what I need, because if I'm not in the front of the car, like I can't lift I need to lift the front of the car up in order to put the tire on. And so everywhere else I was trying, it wasn't lifting up that section of the car. I was like, okay, well, if I put it here, I could potentially lift this up, and maybe I'll put the other jack on the other side just in case as like an additional thing to help me and make it easier to jack it up, right? So I'll try and push this jack up towards the front more on the other side, and then I'll use this jack on this side, and we'll have two jacks in the front to lift the car up, and I just will go back and forth and slowly lift it up to get it to the height I need it to. And then once it's at that height, then I can put the tire back on, I can take the jacks off, and it will be good. So I start jacking it up on the side where the tire's missing, and then I go to the other side, jack it up a little bit, come back to this side, jack it up a little bit, go to the other side, jack it up, right? And finally I get to a point where it's like, okay, now I can put the tire on. Right? The problem is also that not only was the streets slanted like this way, but it was also kind of slanted a little bit this way. So I'm trying to put the tire on now, and it's like falling off of like I'm trying to like I put it onto the bolts, but because it's not really like flat, like it's like it's not sitting on the bolts like flat. I have to like use my foot and my hands to hold it in place, and then I'm like trying to like grab one of like the bolts to put it on. And you're supposed to do it in like a star pattern, right? Where you do like, instead of going like just in a full circle, you do like one, and then you go across the way and you do another one, then you go across the way and do another one, and you like fill out like, like when you draw a star or whatever, boop, 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 and so the thing is I literally needed to do that because I needed to space them out because I didn't have any other option, because otherwise the tire wasn't going to hold in place. So I did that. I finally put all of the bolts back on. I started, once they were all on, like I didn't have to worry about the, I had just screwed them on a little bit by hand, but once they were on a little bit, then I didn't have to hold it in place as much. I grabbed the like wrench thing, started tightening them up a little bit, right? And then I was finally able to unjack the car, have it come back down, tighten them up just a little bit more, make sure that they're nice and snug, but not too tight, right? So tighten them all up. Oh, time to wake up. Give me 1 second. I should turn I usually set like 3 alarms just in case. I always wake up not always, but I typically wake up on the first one, but I set 3 because I'm always worried I'm going to sleep through my alarm, which again, I typically don't, so it's whatever. But, and so basically, jacked it up, got the tire back on, got it back down, and, tightened it up, right? Everything was good. It rained on me throughout that process. Not like absolute torrential downpour, but it was raining a decent amount. Like it was like, it wasn't like spitting. It was like I was getting raindrops on me. So not only was I dealing with that whole thing, but it was also raining on me, and I didn't know if it was going to start raining harder or not. So it was like sort of on a time crunch, because I was like, if it's absolutely pouring out here while I'm doing this, like I can't, like I'm going to have to wait. Right. And I didn't know if like the rain was going to be for the rest of the day or whatever. So there's like multiple factors to this that was just making it like worse. And I'm just like, like, what the heck? And so, you know, got all that sorted. I drove it a little bit just to test it. Right. You know, it's all good. The tire didn't like fall off or something. I was able to drive the car, right? And then I put it into a position so that if for whatever reason I needed to jack it up again, it was going to be in a good spot. And I went inside. The rain stopped and it became sunny and it was nice. And I think I ended up taking like a nap. Or I went and took a nap. I took a nap after dinner. I did take a nap though. But afterwards, like my mom was like, "Hey Sam, look, it's sunny now," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And like I don't know. It was like once it was resolved, like I was just like, finally. Right? Like, cause I didn't think for a second that there wasn't going to be a solution. It was just, I was like, I don't know what I can even do. Like, I don't know how I'm going to solve this. Right? Like I had no idea what was going to work, and I didn't know what I should do. Right? So I was more just like getting frustrated because I'm like, it's raining on me. I don't know what I'm doing. This was so dumb. I don't know how to solve this. Like, I don't know what's going on. And when it was finally over, I was just like, I need a break. Like I'm gonna go. I think I had thought about potentially trying to do some like cleanup in the garden to get it prepped so that it's good for planting. But that idea went out the window when the whole tire changing thing turned into a fiasco. So I didn't end up doing that, but I do need to start doing that because I'm already kind of late, I think. But the garden has to get planted with something is ideal. So I want to try and get that started, but it didn't happen. And then it came nice and sunny and everything was great. But I was just like, after that whole fiasco, I was done. I was like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just going to relax. And then that's that. So when I finally went to drive, back to my apartment, I'm like driving and I go to take a turn and I hear, and at first I thought it was the music I was like listening to because it was a song I hadn't heard before. And I was like, that's kind of interesting that they would leave that in there. That's not very good. So this song is kind of unlistenable too. And then I realized that it wasn't the song, it was my car. And I was like, oh. And at this point I was on the highway and I was like, well, I hope that's not a problem. I'm just going to keep driving. So, honestly, like, I don't even know what I did to resolve that situation. What I think was happening was just that a piece of metal got bent and was kind of like rubbing on something as I was driving, creating this high pitch, like noise. However, I don't know where it was because I just kind of like poked at stuff to try and unbend it, and I don't know if that worked or if it was something else. Basically, the other day it stopped, and I don't know. So that's why I said like I think I didn't mess anything up. Like at the end of the day, I don't think there was too much harm done to my car. However, I don't really know. And so, you know, we're just going to wait and find out, right? That's one of the most nerve-wracking things about working on a car. Like I've changed like my spark plugs and like the fuel injectors, and you're changing the oil and you're like, I did everything right. Like I'm pretty confident I did everything right. However, you're always kind of, there's always like a little bit of doubt in your head. Like, did I though? Like, did I remember to do that? Did I remember to do that? Like, did I miss a bolt somewhere or something? Like, there's always like a little bit of doubt in your head that maybe you put it together wrong and like the car is not going to work or it's going to break. So far that hasn't happened yet, but you know, you're just kind of hoping for the best, which is, I mean, it's the same thing if like you have anyone else like work on your car too. You're just hoping that they did a good job, right? You're just trusting the equipment at the end of the day. It's so crazy. But yeah. So basically I did something dumb. However, a part of me feels like I needed to do that dumb thing for me to realize that that was dumb and talk about it. Like, because I was like, what's the point of this? And a part of me, I think, just needed to be aware of this for the future. Because if a situation like this happens again, I now know beyond a certainty of a doubt, if that's the right terminology, I know beyond a doubt that I will handle the situation differently because I learned. I learned from my mistakes and I realized how dumb that was. And in the moment it sucked, but now that moment is cemented in my memory. The chaos of that mistake is now cemented in my memory, right? And I'm now that, you know, that's stuck with me. I got to remember that now. I'll be like, remember that one time you were an idiot? And now that memory is there, that's always going to remind me, like, don't be an idiot. Like don't be an idiot. Because, you know, as smart as anyone thinks they are, you know, there's always something that you're not too familiar with and you don't have a lot of experience with. And it's the survivor bias. You've never had anything go wrong before, so you don't think something could necessarily go wrong again. Or not again, but like go wrong this time, right? And so everyone thinks they're invincible until they're not. Everyone thinks that they know it all until they don't. And so I think that this experience was relatively low stakes, but the benefits it has provided me it just gave me like absolute clarity on this particular subject. You know, don't do dumb things. And if you think something's going to go wrong, then take the precautions to make sure it doesn't, or don't do that, right? And yeah, I think that's the main things to take away from this. Everyone makes mistakes and everyone's learning. You know, it's important if you're going to make a mistake that you're learning from it, right? It's okay to mess up. What's not okay is to continue to mess up in the same way and take nothing away from it. Like, you can keep messing up and you can keep messing up in the same field, right? In the same thing, right? Oh, I messed up, but I messed up this way now, right? If you keep messing up by doing the same thing over and over and over and over again, and you're expecting things to change without actually changing anything, that's where there's a problem. Whereas if you make a mistake and you messed up and you're like, oh, okay, well, maybe I need to do it this way, and then that didn't work. Oh, maybe I need to do it this way. That didn't work. That's fine. That's good, right? Because you're learning. And the lesson I learned here helped me for the future if I need to change a tire on my car again, or if I need to jack my car up for any reason again. Now I have that information in my head. But I can translate that and what happened, the situation, the scenario, and all the information, the lessons learned, I can transfer that to multiple different subjects. That is not strictly only knowledge for working on my car. I can apply that to any scenario where I feel like this might be a bad idea, right? And I can recognize it as similar and be like, okay, well, this is just like when I tried to change the tire on my car. I'm pretty confident that if I jack my car up, that it's going to fall downhill and be a big problem for me. Maybe I should just like not do that right here, right? Maybe I shouldn't do this right here. Maybe I should go get some things before I start this, right? Let's make sure that this doesn't, go. All right, the camera stopped on me, so I just wanted to say, peace out.